Okay, Andrew, I just want to triple check. You
Yeah.
did hit record this time, right?
Okay.
Welcome to Product Fridays, everybody. I'm Andrew McGill.
I'm Andrew Phelps. See, I'm getting better at that.
Today, we are talking over one of my personal little questions that is increasingly becoming more important, which is when should a guy like us, or one person, go out and build an AI powered app versus just expect people are going to use ChatGPT? I feel like it's becoming like the Google of everything. So I want to drill into that with you, Andrew.
Sounds great. I'm very curious to hear what your questions are and dig into it.
Okay, so let me tell a story first. Would that be good? I've had this little side project, which isn't even really a project. It's like a tech demo that I've been sitting on for a bit. And I finally popped it on LinkedIn last week. And it's this little demonstration app called Zhuge. Do you want me to show it to you real quick?
I think we should show it. Share your screen, talk through it for a few minutes.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
Oh, Zhuge, reimagine your space. And the whole thing here is that I recently bought a new couch. Not that recently, it was like a year ago. And I was at the time like, hey, why can't I just use AI to put the couch in my living room and see how it looks? And at that point, it just didn't work. If you did like hey, ChatGPT, put this couch from West Elm in my living room, it would generate an entire new image of like someone else's living room that looked nothing like mine. However, as we know, ChatGPT image stuff has gotten way better. Go ahead and upload a photo. And this is literally a picture of my living room from a few months ago. I had the OpenAI API spin up my living room with different items of furniture changed. If I go ahead and tap the plus next to my light, I've got these three beautiful lights from West Elm, and I tap the third one here. Boom, my living room now has this light in it. And if I minimize that and I click on my table, I'm like, oh, let's do this round Avery table. Boom. My
dude,
living room
some
now.
amazing ecom collabs here, by the way.
100%. Like this needs to happen for furniture companies. And you can even change the wall color, which I feel like is maybe actually the killer use for this app. So let's go sage green.
Who came up with those colors?
Oh, I didn't consult you. I think I pulled some from Benjamin Moore. All this is to say is I had a really fun time making this little demo app. But as I'm wrapping this up and tying it a little bow for LinkedIn, I'm like, couldn't someone just do this with ChatGPT? I mean, it's basically what I'm doing. I'm using ChatGPT's API to generate these images. And I'm like, who's going to pay for Zhuge if I ever made it? They can just use ChatGPT. And I'm almost starting to feel a little paralyzed by this.
I'm surprised you're paralyzed. It seems more straightforward to me. So first of all, I love what you've done here. What was the process of building the prompt for this little mini app?
I basically said, here's a base image of my living room. Please replace. And then there's a bunch of like conditional loops based on which image I was trying to generate. You know, the lamp with this lamp and this with this. Don't change anything else in the room is always at the bottom of the prompt.
Okay, but there was like a little bit of zhuzhing, if you will, of the prompt. It wasn't one take, you nailed the prompt. Oh, you had an app ready to go.
Yeah, I would say there was maybe about 1 day of prompt engineering, which is not nothing.
Okay, so I think you're making my argument for me, which is yes, anyone could use ChatGPT to generate an outcome similar to the outcome that you've given to people through Zhuge. But A, they've got to be using ChatGPT. And I know like a billion people or 700 million. OpenAI just released this academic study of how many people use ChatGPT and how and for what. 700 million weekly active users of ChatGPT, which is a lot of people. That's pretty impressive for
Oh,
a
yeah.
product. And I think it said like, a third of these people are using it to get everyday tasks done. So in theory, this would fit into that, right? I still don't think it's as mainstream a use case going into ChatGPT and using it for this novel reason. And I think what's so interesting about AI for me is there are use cases I don't even know I can do until I get the idea, right? So what you've done with Juge is you're like, maybe you didn't even know you could use AI for this. Now you do know. But instead of going to this general purpose Swiss Army everything app, which is ChatGPT, we're going to build a specialized app. Like nowhere on OpenAI's roadmap is features to enhance the living room redesign experience, right? But you, by nature of like even spending 1 day on prompt engineering, generating all these images and like thinking through what the experience should be, you've like put work in. And that's just with a day. I mean, imagine what your product would look like if you spent a couple of months on it.
Let me repeat back
So
two
my
things
point being,
I'm
most people aren't going to do that. Even if they could do it, they're not going to spend the time. They're not going to prompt engineer a photo app for a day.
So, repeating back two things I've heard. One, yes, we always hear how many people are using ChatGPT. But one thing that probably doesn't get said quite as much, they're like 90% of that's probably like non-habitual users, and you and I are probably in like the top 1% of the top 1% of ChatGPT power users. And I might be extrapolating my own experience, which is like, yeah, I could do this in about an hour with ChatGPT. And I'm presuming that other people both want to and are willing and have time to play around with some prompts on ChatGPT. And then the second thing you're also saying is that as general purpose and as good as ChatGPT is at fulfilling basically anything you can throw at it, it's always going to take more time than a focused tool. I'm thinking back to a previous conversation we had about opinionated products. And like one of our landmark opinionated products is the app Flighty, which is a little tracking app that helps you track your flights and track your friends' flights. And I always get an alert whenever you're flying home to California. And all of the functions in Flighty, which are pulled together in this nice little package, I can do with Google. I could just go to Google and be like, okay, IAD, that's Dulles to San Jose or whatever. Go to FlightAware, find some stuff. Like I could make Google do that, but I actually pay money to Flighty, so I don't have to.
Someone put it all in one place for you. They made the design really pretty in Flighty's case, and they thought through the use cases of a traveler and all the things they would need, right? Flighty, when you're in the air, puts the amount of time left on your lock screen. The moment you land, the thing on your lock screen changes to where to find your luggage, right? That is all stuff you could find separately, but somebody put it all into one place, which made it a better cohesive experience. I mean, another example is we're always playing with AI. My wife and I are always playing with AI to look at like sort of more structural changes to our home. We want to put a portico on the front of our colonial house. And I asked ChatGPT to do it, and it kind of like, it did like a dutiful, like, it was kind of ordinary, average. And I kept like tweaking it. And I was like, okay, I could see what a portico would look like. Maybe someday we'll do a portico. And then Tracy used this app, Renovate AI, which is like $30 a month or something. And she gave it similar prompts and it came back with a transformation. I mean, it was incredible. I was like, that's our house. That's amazing. There were so many details considered. I'm guessing Renovate AI did not like create their own language model and vision tech, right? They are probably wrapping multiple different LLMs and fine tuning the result, and they're charging money because those generations are expensive. So ChatGPT gave me the quick and dirty, okay, this is what it would look like. And Renovate AI is like, let's take it to the next level. This is like a power tool for architects and designers.
Okay, so let's draw a spectrum, because I think at one end of the spectrum is where a standalone app is totally necessary. There's a huge moat. There's proprietary data. It doesn't even touch AI, maybe. I don't know. And then there's the far other end of the spectrum where you are basically just making a chat app that's wrapping ChatGPT, which, by the way, is something that a lot of companies did in the last 2 years and often have backed away from that. You have to demonstrate that your like chat interface solves a specific problem way better than ChatGPT does. Like I think a very common thing is like with news organizations, for instance, is like, well, we'll spin up a chatbot and it's based off of our archive. And indeed, I think the Washington Post did this. They had Post AI, and I have to say, I love what that team has done. But for me, Post AI is not 10 times better than like me just asking ChatGPT what's going on in the world right now.
I agree. There's this whole like, let's build a chatbot because we can, and we can train it with our data. I'm like, okay, cool. That probably won't be around in 3 years. But I still think if you have a product that's like AI generated recipes and it's $1 a month and it's beautiful and it's just a few easy buttons and you figure out what you're having for dinner, even though you could do that with ChatGPT, that's still probably valuable to like a mainstream audience. And by the way, there's room in the market for multiple products too.
There totally are. And that's why I'm trying to build this spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Like we all agree, undifferentiated chatbot. Okay, no one's even trying to make those anymore because ChatGPT and Claude are fighting that out. The next layer up to me is like a chat interface around your proprietary data. Depending on how truly proprietary that is, That to me determines the value. I think the problem with the post, in my opinion, is that a lot of the data they have actually is commodity because it's news that's being reported elsewhere, and ChatGPT can just grab free versions of that aren't from the post.
Their take on it isn't commodity, but the existence of that information is being reported elsewhere, you're saying, except for like
Correct.
scoops and profiles and that kind of stuff, right?
So then we move to the next level of the moat, right? Which is building a wrapper that truly adds convenience. And I think the recipe generator is probably a great example. We've been wanting to make one of these things forever and we should just do it. But like, yes, the ability to tap a button and say, tonight I want a recipe that has these kind of ingredients and will take 30 minutes or less and has a version I can split off for kids. I could type all that into ChatGPT. It probably would give me a decent response. But if you gave me a really good UI and you grounded it in actual recipe data that wasn't just random stuff that an LLM would make up, that would add value to me.
I mean, to keep going with the recipe thing, and yes, I agree. We both talk about this. We should just make it. We've been playing with it in our spare time. If I ask ChatGPT for a recipe, I say, I have these ingredients. I don't have a lot of time. Give me a recipe. It gives me a recipe. And I'm like, could I sub this for that? Or what if I don't have this? And then I get into this whole thread. And then I'm like, what was the recipe? And I'm scrolling up ChatGPT. I can't like do the equivalent of Command F on my phone. My hands are dirty. I'm busy. In other words, it's like these purpose-built apps. It's not necessarily the AI of it that is novel. It is all of the like old-fashioned product functionality, product features, and it just happens to be AI powered. So like if OpenAI releases a great purpose-built cooking app, then it would probably sink this idea. But I don't see that happening ever.
Okay, so then let's go to the like as close to the end as we can. Like it seems like the ultimate slam dunk is you have like a kick-ass proprietary set of information or data to use the cooking example. You're the New York Times. You have this amazing backlog of recipes that are battle tested and you've got all these comments that are added on top of them from your readers over the years. You have an amazing proprietary data set. You have an amazing, very singular problem you're trying to solve, and you have a solution for that that's like perfectly molded to the user that's going to want to solve that problem. That maybe we just outlined like the test to verify that your idea is ChatGPT proof.
Yeah, and that's the thing is with AI and the ability for AI to write the code and debug the code for you on top of that, it's much easier to spin out these little use cases and see if there's a there, and it's much cheaper if it turns out not to be true.
Okay, so let's tie it up in a little bow here. I think that if you were going to make a AI product, air quote, that uses LLM technology, it ideally should solve a really specific problem, have a user interface that makes solving that problem effortless, and ideally has some kind of intellectual property behind it. Maybe it's all of that prompt engineering you were doing. Maybe it's your giant database you've amassed of cooking recipes. Or maybe it's something even as simple as just like, hooked up with the Benjamin Morris Paint app and I've pulled down a bunch of stuff there. Like having those three things put together makes a convenient, focused product, which can still compete in the era of like AI being able to do anything through ChatGPT.
Or it's just a great design or a better experience because chat is not always the best way to do things. I agree. And I think an important point here is that it's not building an AI app for AI's sake. Like the AI part is not what should matter to the user. It's you have a problem, we're going to make it simple to solve the problem. The only difference from 5 years ago when we were doing the same stuff is now we have this extremely inexpensive and efficient helper to do a lot of stuff for us. I would challenge us before our next show to do one of these wrappers. I think you're a little like, oh, it's not special enough to be worth it. And I'm like, I think there's a possible business here. I don't want to make slop because there is a, I think the App Store is filled with that, like wrappers that exist just to profit off generic ripoffs of GPT. But I think you and I should vibe code something.
Okay, let's commit to it. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Okay, honorable mention time. I have an honorable mention. Can I roll into it?
I have to think of one. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I just learned about this in the Axios AI newsletter. Apparently, a bunch of the minds behind Notebook LM, which is Google's sort of side product where you can drop documents and it like summarizes them and makes a podcast out of them. That was their big like killer feature. They have gone off and formed a new app company which is called Hooks. HUXE, which is infinitely personalized podcasts around your interests. I just downloaded it. It's pretty buggy. You can hook up your email and your calendar, and they have this little daily briefing thing, which I think you actually can play at any time, which summarizes the meetings you have coming up. It noted our calendar block here saying this will probably be about business strategy. I'm like, okay, not quite, but it's supposed to be able to on the fly generate podcasts around stuff that you're interested in. I will say I tried to get it to make a station about the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm trying vaguely to become the slightly better Eagles fan. And it said, take just a minute, and some lo-fi beats started playing. And then the station didn't actually ever start. But I feel like the concept is very cool and something I would definitely use in my life.
Very into the infinitely personalizable, infinite length podcast. I feel like that's going to become a big product in the next couple of years. My honorable mention, I feel like to you will be kind of like so last year, but maybe to a lot of people is not, which is I very belatedly finally started to use Olama, and there's specifically a Mac and iOS app called Reigns, which is like a graphical interface on top of it, to make my own flavors of LLMs. There's so many models out there, and there's all these unsupported community-based models. There's models that let you disable guardrails and do all kinds of crazy experiments. And you can write prompts and generate your own little LLM. But importantly, it happens entirely on your machine. It does not go to the internet. It never leaves your house. And that used to be something that required massively powered computers and GPUs. I've got a Mac Studio, which is like a powerful machine, but not, a supercomputer. And I have no problem running OpenAI's latest open source models, Olama, all these models. And I kind of feel like I'm like a AI powered, I'm really inventing something cool. And I love that it's all private and offline. I'm learning things about the temperature setting for AI. The higher the temperature, the weirder it might get. And all these little knobs that turn it more into a fun hobby. And so in the next few weeks, maybe I'll share some of the things that I've been
I love
playing
that.
with.
Well, so Andrew, I've been thinking along some of the same lines, and my dream is to have a house AI that's air gapped from the internet.
Yeah.
Let's just say I download the Wikipedia archive or something, and I shove that onto the Mac Studio Pro or something, and the local LLM's job is to answer it's I have it hooked up to my house Wi-Fi. You can only use it in my house or something.
Yeah.
And you can ask it questions, and it can refer to Wikipedia, the offline version, and do some RAG stuff and answer stuff. And I don't know why I want that, but it's just interesting to me that I could then pack that into a suitcase, and I could take it and go off and live in a bunker if I wanted, and I would still have this amazing agent that connected me to human knowledge.
I love that. We'll 100% work on that with you.
Okay, well, this has been Product Fridays, another Friday off the boards. Can you believe it?
Yes, I can. Thanks for listening, watching, reading the transcript, whatever it is that you people do with our podcast.
Printing it out, marking it up with a red pen.
Printing out every frame of the video, which is a lot of ink from the printer. It really helps a lot if you like the podcast. Comment. People don't comment. It's hard to get people to comment. We would like you to comment. And if you'd ever like to work with us on AI-related projects or anything else, we do a lot of sort of digital transformation with companies. Email us hello@productfridays.com, and we'd love to get in touch.
Sounds great. Happy Friday, Andrew.
All right, buddy. See ya.